Hello again. My last upload was like not very long ago. But okay, because like it was midnight when I made that one. It's like 2:30 now. Whilst I was waiting for that to upload, right, I I watched a couple more of my original videos from 10, 11 years ago. I said I was 20. Now, then, I said I'm 20 now in that video. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. So I just watched two of them, and then I watched another reading, which is funny because some of the stuff that I was talking about in my video that I watched was some of the same stuff that I mentioned in the same video. The video that I just uploaded. So I was talking about how the repeats of the stuff happened again after Alex came up, and talking about going through I guess just like when Alex started grunting again, stuff in the external reality started happening that she had to process in her own way. And she had to realize that all of the things that she remembered from the last time that she had access to memories, all of the things that she thought that she was doing and that made her like a bad person was actually other alters doing stuff because of like their own fulfilling their own needs and learning about their own selves and stuff. And she was struggling with the fact that it was other people. Like, she was just like, why am I like this? Why am I so complicated? Why did I keep making all those decisions that hurt people? About like going from one guy to the other and whatever. When I was involved with two people and how they were dating the two different people. Well, that's the thing. This video that I watched, it was talking about that transition period where I had recognized that it wasn't sustainable for me to just pretend to be one person, because the individual alters needed to have their own individual selves. They need to be their own selves. They need to pursue their own things. And I've been, the question has come up multiple times lately, like, is that a thing that I am meant to be doing? Am I meant to be allowing everyone to just be themselves? What does that mean? Does that mean I'm not being myself right now? What does that mean? Who is myself? Yeah, because then when we used to focus on the individual energy of who was fronting and let it solidify, I would learn more about myself. But then it's like making things more separate and more fragmented. But then I'm like, oh my god, I just had this realization where, because society's going through the same thing, where everything was like reality is just like, fuck. Alright. Alright. How can I explain what is happening in my head right now? Okay. So, for me, it was like believing that I was one person or meant to be a specific person, whatever, right? That's the thing. As a child, I had a vision of who I wanted to be. I didn't know myself as myself at that time. I knew myself as who I wanted to be, which was a child psychologist, someone who kids could feel safe to open up to and talk to, because I didn't know any safe adults at all, and I wanted there to be more of them in the world because I didn't know any. Um, so there was that. But then in high school, right, when it comes to that whole like figuring out who you are kind of shit, and also like knowing the world's expectations. I don't know. It was like a big jumble. I don't know, right? And it seemed like that whole time I was like in an exploration thing. I was set to evolve. But like when I thought I was like, so when I realized that I was multiple, right? That I have multiple completely different perspectives, come with completely different energies, completely different likes, dislikes, personalities, right? I started looking back on my past as a child, and I started seeing how the different alters were obviously fronting at different times back then. But back then, I didn't know that that's what was happening. I just thought I was one person, and I just didn't. But then, like looking back, it's like obvious. But then there was this whole. It's crazy because like I don't. How did the timeline change so much? Like, from me being like healing and everything back then and having all these realizations and like doing all this stuff, like, I obviously didn't face the healing to the depths that I needed to move through it, but I guess I learned what I needed to in that time. Because after I had my daughter, and no, see, that's the thing. My narrative keeps being that I got the hypnosis when I was pregnant, and then I've been fucked up ever since. But I've been remembering in the last couple of days that just before I got with my son's dad, I was doing, like, the individual alters had started fronting again. They started to feel good again. They started to be themselves. They were dressing up and taking photos as their individual selves, and they were like, it was a thing, right? And then it wasn't until after I moved in to my, well, moved in with, well, moved into my old place. I mean, new, own place. um, and then my ex moved in with me, and apparently I completely changed then. And looking back now, I can see, yeah, that's when I was stuck and like I was struggling so much. This is just my new updated version of the narrative. because more information might update the whole thing. So, like, I'd like to know if I was still myself, like the multifaceted, self exploring, blah blah blah. I wonder if I was like that at the beginning of my relationship with him when I was still involved with my daughter's dad. Was it the breakdown of that relationship that kind of like made me depressed or something and completely changed everything? Or was it being in the energy of my son's dad? Because when I'm around people for too long, I start to like morph into them. I start picking up accidentally tune into their brainwaves and their frequency, and then I start mistaking their thoughts and stuff for my own, and their wants and stuff for my own. So then that's why I like to be alone. So I can't. Yeah. Right. So there was a period where I had the different alters really like developing their own selves, right? And after a while there, when I was living with that partner, actually, I was telling myself that maybe it was a bad idea to get to know each individual alter. Maybe it was a bad idea to be separating myself so much. But I realize now that it was never me separating myself. It was me getting to know different aspects of self. Putting too much emphasis on them, I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So what we needed to do was create a structure, create some sort of balance where the different altars would each have their own time out, but it would be in a structure so that we would all be out for a purpose, working toward a shared goal, rather than this altar having their own agenda and then going their way, and then this altar coming out and doing their own thing, and then it seeming to like clash, and it's just like unhelpful. Like, I need to map out how it all actually works, what the purpose of each altar doing their individual thing is, and how it all comes together and how it benefits the whole system and stuff like that. I think I just worked out the thing that I was confused about. But also, um, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And then the thing about how society is mirrored in all of this, it's like, um, people thinking that reality is one way, a certain way, and that everyone is just like one dimensional or whatever. And then, like, recognizing that there is more depth. There is more depth to you. There is more depth to people, right? And then, when people, I guess, acknowledge a part of themselves, like, for instance, if you identify, um, if there are things about specific animals that you identify with, that resonate with you, that when you act that way, that feels like home, right? Um, that means that you have a connection to the lifetime you lived, where that is what you were, and you're just remembering it, and it feels resonant, right? And you have access to that and the energy of that and the wisdom of that at all times. But some people see that and they start to think, oh, well, if I feel that way, then that is my identity, and now I fully identify as that animal, right? And I'm not saying that that's like wrong or stupid or anything like that. Um, Everyone's at different stages in their understanding of self and everything. Um, so like I obviously have animal alters who identify as animals. I, as a system, don't identify as an animal. I identify as um, having fluid identity, and one of those identities that front may identify as an animal in that moment, but that doesn't mean that I, as an individual, identify as that, because I acknowledge that I am a multidimensional being and I have access to all lifetimes and stuff, so I don't have to. Yeah, so then it's like a society kind of has to go through the same thing where they thought things were one way, but then they got to realize it's kind of more than that. It's more than that. And then not letting yourself just open up to one possibility of how it is more, and then clinging to that and say, well, now this is the only reality. It's about like allowing more and more to come, more information. You know, you might be identifying as like a dog one day, but then another day you'll feel like you have more like bird-like traits, and that doesn't mean that you can't ever identify as being a dog ever again, because now you're suddenly realizing you have bird traits, and it doesn't mean that you're wrong about being a dog and you're now a bird, and then you can't even believe that you used to think that you were a human. Like that's not like what a human is just like a a conduit, a meat vessel that taps into all things, all frequencies that you have ever lived and will ever live. All of your future and past is all in there from every timeline. What do you mean? Um, yeah. So, you see in society that like apparently there's like this pattern, right, throughout history where people are super super conservative, and they're all like, no, everything's black and white, only this way and one way is the correct way, right? And then things start getting more like woke, right? um but my idea of like what woke is just like the same as what super conservative stuff is. It's like rigid fixation on one reality and wanting to completely dismiss others. I'm not saying, well, yeah, yeah. So like woke is not awakened, but awakened is understanding that there is more to everything, and that you are never just one person or one being. And it, yeah. So sorry. So society is apparently like it goes to like the opposite end. So it goes from super conservative to super woke, and it's like people don't see the awakened bit in the middle. You're kind of supposed to see how it all fits together, why both ends of the spectrum exist and like make sense of it all. What do you mean? Yeah, I had the visualization of two ends of the spectrum, but then everything like in like connecting both ends is like swibbly wibblies. It's all connected. It's all like just because the spectrum looks like it's a straight line, that's just like imagine like there's a sphere or like what's that thing called? The I don't know what it's called. The toroidal thingy. I don't know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. I know what I mean. I don't know. Anyway, so then it's like the tunnel in between on one end it looks like a super conservative. It looks super black and white, super you can only be this one way, right? And then the other end is like everything is open and everything is everything and you can be like anything, but you have to like and it feels like both it feels like this energy only exists because they're both traveling through. It's like, and then it reminds me of this fucking thing where I saw, I don't know if it's real, but I hope so, because that sounds fucking awesome, right? So I saw this thing on Facebook, and, um, yeah, I doubt things on Facebook now because it doesn't have, like, anyway, so it said that scientists have spotted a white hole that is spewing matter out. And then my brain's automatically like, well, yeah, that's the other side of the black hole. You see the black hole and it looks dark, and sucking all of the trash out, the stuff that sector of the universe doesn't fucking need, right? And then the white hole is the other side where it's everything that's was sucked in is being funneled out into this other sector of the universe that actually requires that stuff. Um, and yeah, of course, it's going to look like it's the two sides of the same passageway. Two sides of the same passageway, bro. What do you mean? Yeah. But then, like, the passageway isn't the reality. The entire structure is the reality, right? And the beliefs on both ends are literally just the energy coming off of all of the bits wrapping around, and it's like the condensed bits. I need to ponder this more. Although I have noticed that the last couple times I said I need to ponder something more, I need to research something, I didn't, I haven't. um, yeah, anyway, so my point is, sorry, that, historically, apparently civilizations have collapsed because of the imbalance because of the sudden shift between one view and the other. And I think that what I've been trying to do, like every time that I mention the fact that like whether you're left wing or right wing, neither approach is gonna get you anywhere, because in order to fucking move forward, both wings need to be working together. Can't just be flapping one side. It's not gonna fucking help anyone, is it? The wings need to be working together. So it's like, we need to be seeing the truth in both sides. And like, so that's why, like, I'm seeing that with super conservative stuff and with super woke stuff, you can kind of see the energy of it. And like, so the more like grounded in the middle people kind of see things more clearly. And if you're like stuck at either end of the spectrum, it means that you are dealing with things that you have repressed. You need to be able to be more in the middle, because that really shows your balance within your own being. Because if you're being really, really triggered on one end or the other, by other people not seeing things the same way as you, or by other people not treating you the way that you want to be treated, and demanding that other people see things the same way that you do, and whatever, like, it's the same toxic shit on both sides. That's all because of like your own internal like wounding that you have, right? So like all of like wanting to control other people, controlling their lives or controlling their narratives or controlling like whatever, it's all because I'm running like multiple different things right now whilst I'm saying this. I'm also like, I have things running in the background saying, well, now that I'm bringing up this topic, and even though I know that I'm talking about this topic and these kinds of people and these things in general, how can I apply that to my life and the things that are going on now and how I'm manifesting things in my reality right now? So like, whilst I'm talking about things, I have all these other things running in the background, and the fact that I'm aware of them is one of the reasons why I struggle at life. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I understand more than other people. The fact that I am hyper aware of the processes that happen in the background that are supposed to be subconscious, and I'm not supposed to know about them. It does give me an advantage in life in a way, but in every way that society would have expectations, it makes me struggle, like remembering to do basic self-care things for myself. So well, okay, before I go, because it's been another long video, I just wanted to say that like that reading that I watched after I watched my 2 videos, literally the first card that she pulled was the death card, and I fucking laughed out loud because I literally mentioned that in the last video I just did. So funny. But she made references to things that were breadcrumbs for the day, where I wouldn't have even been sure if they were breadcrumbs if I didn't get more of them, you know? But like, I saw this video of like people of lightning, right? But some of them people, the lightning seemed to be drawn close to people, or they seemed to be like directing it or summoning it or whatever, right? And then I started having this realization that like I've been complaining about how we don't really get storms and stuff here, right? But if I move somewhere that does have a lot more energy in the air and everything, I would be utilizing that. I would be like meditating with that. I would be really trying to connect with those energies, right? Energies with more power. I feel like interesting. So the what just came through me just then, I don't know who in my mind it was, but they said, yeah, well, we're done. We're kind of like bored with dealing with the wishy-washy energies. And well, that's the thing. Like, we just haven't fully connected in with any of the elements. You've been wishy-washy with them. They themselves are not. Okay. Because I was like, nah, I want the fucking raw power of fucking lightning. And I did those thunder movements the other day. Well, it was probably like a week ago or longer now. I don't fucking know. And thunder's a thing, but lightning? Fuck. And I was talking about firebending the other day when I was in front of the fire. And firebenders end up being able to bend lightning. Also, yeah, okay. I've been getting so many messages over the last couple of years to really connect in with the elements, and I really was just brought here by the reference to lightning, because in the reading she mentioned something about lightning and harnessing lightning and stuff, and I was like, no fucking way, I can't believe she said that after I watched that reading. No, I watched that video earlier, and earlier this morning, earlier today, fuck, yesterday, fuck, I don't know. Anyway, um, um, I was listening to this other reading, which was basically saying, man, fucking synchronicity after synchronicity is, looks like this is just gonna be your life now. Like, looks like this is just, like, fucking get used to it, because it's going to blow your mind how much that this happens. And I had so many synchronicities. Oh, when I was watching one of my videos, I had said that it was a new moon and I was going to utilize that for something, something, something. And me watching that, I was like, I knew things about what moon times did back then. What do you mean? That was just like a slight concept that passed through my mind the other day, a few nights ago, when I was camping and I was looking at the stars and I realized I couldn't see the moon, and then I was like, where are we in the moon phase times anyway? And then I was like, is it a new moon? And then I said something about, oh, that means that like it's time for new beginning or manifesting something or blah blah blah. I don't know, but it was like uh like a millisecond of thought that went through my brain. So I don't think I do have a bad memory. I don't think I do. No, we made videos like a week or two ago talking about all of these examples of how we struggle. We do have a bad memory sometimes. How do I? What do you mean? What do I? Maybe I need to allow myself to remember that when I forget things often, it's redirection. It's redirection because I'm not meant to focus on that. I'm not meant to focus on that. I'm not meant to remember that bit because that's not conducive to like anything. It's not like that's focusing on the incorrect path that will take me down an unnecessarily yucky tangent that that's a path for comic lessons I've already learned from. That's not a thing. This video is too long. Yeah. Right, I just wanted to mention the things. Yeah. Yep, the new moon thing that I mentioned in that video, and I thought about new moon the other day. But then right after I watched that video, I watched the reading video, and the chick said that it was a new moon. Obviously, it wasn't like a brand new video. But like, all of these synchronicities, bro. Suck, present. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go, and I'll probably try and find some to eat before I go back to sleep. What's the time? 3:05. Alright. There we go. My butt came out. Alright, I need to go. I didn't end up doing a fucking karaoke singing video because I forgot until just then.